Well, thank you. Amy came to my open garden on the Mother's Day weekend in May, and I think she saw all my head full of popcorn. It's like it happened. But yeah, it's a slow process. And I really loved your introduction, and I think I feel like a spy or something, like an undercover agent. Like, a lot of creativity is very slow and gentle and kind of underground, isn't it? So yeah, I'm going to read a lot of what I want to say, but because I don't want to miss anything, and I just feel like there's a real theme to what's been put on my heart to share with you all. But I've wanted to come to Creative Mornings probably since you started, but I was too shy. So I'm going to do something really awkward. Hands up if you've come on your own this morning and you didn't actually know anybody. That is amazing. I'm so proud of you. High five. It can be quite lonely being a creative, and I think these mornings are so important to get in a room where there's other people with crazy big ideas, and we're all like a little field of wildflowers. Everybody's so different, and we've all got our own little individual original way to bloom. So welcome. My son, who's 20, has never been on a roller coaster actually, but I feel like this whole journey has been like being on a roller coaster, and this week in particular it's like woo, upside down and round around. Lots of hard things, particularly this week's been a bit challenging with some hard things with our family, but amazing things this week. I handed in the words to, well, I spoke to an editor coach a while ago, and that's been a slow process, but this week she said, you've got a manuscript, so go and contact some publishers. So I feel like it's all happening at once. Yeah, and setting up my window in my fabric in the window downstairs and being here this morning, it's like, wow, hang on for the ride. Becoming a creative entrepreneur is such a hoppity-skip journey, don't you think? A lot of time is spent plotting, practicing, fiddle-faddling, and stop-starting. I heard about, so I wanted to come to Creative Mornings, but I was too shy. I didn't even know how to describe what I was trying to do. If you read my little bio, you know, how do I describe what I do? What do you do? It's more like, well, who are you? I'm going to do a little dot to dot later. That's what this is all about. We need help to be brave, and some of my most supportive people are in this room. I wouldn't be standing vertical if it wasn't for the people who believed in me, and I think we all need people to believe in us and breathe and water the little seeds of creativity and crazy ideas, and also help make them happen. I think God likes dot to dot pictures. All the random steps we take are connected. I see that now as I look back, and it amazes me to see what each stage of my life has led to, and the compound interest of all the different experiences. As I share who I am, I'll show you what I mean. I believe God sees the big picture. We just need to trust the process. And yes, hang on for the ride. So I wanted to try and find a picture that looked like a flower, so my first step, I was a journalist, BC, before children. I was a newspaper reporter on a daily newspaper in Tamworth. Then I became a mother. Then I became a gardener. And I happen to like flowers. So I became a flower farmer. Not really a flower farmer, just a little flower farmer. And I met Anna because I had all these hot pink stocks, and they were for the farmers market, but the farmers markets were fortnightly, and they were at their best in the off week. So I needed to find a home for them, so I met Anna, and then we started doing, I started helping her do weddings, and So then I started doing some floristry stuff. Sorry, I'm twisting around a bit. It's not very good, is it? And I'll get to this later, but I have 8 children and I'm a homeschooling mum. I was a homeschooling mum. I'm not quite sure who I am now, but that's all part of the story. And my RDO, my rostered day off that I hung out for occasionally when I could run away from home, was to go to a watercolour class in Brisbane. I used to gate crash because I only went probably every 6 months, and I always felt like a beginner because I couldn't remember what I did 6 months ago. But it must have all added up, because I think sometimes you go to a workshop, I love workshops, and you're not very productive, but you're absorbing not just what the teacher shares, but what other students are doing as well. So I just practiced and fiddle-faddled, and at the farmers market one carnival of flowers, I had a whole pile of scrap paper, and I just did quick watercolour paintings and wrapped the bunch of flowers up as I sold them. And then some people just really encouraged me, and then it was like, forget about the flowers, can I just have the wrapping paper? And so I started doing more art, and I was getting my hair cut at Fringe one day, and Max said, so what have you been doing over the summer? And I said, oh, I've been doing some watercolour. I did one that I thought was not too bad, I might frame it. And she asked me to show her, and I showed her some of the work, and she just happened to be on the Toowoomba Grammar art show committee, and she said, you're in. And I actually sold 3 paintings, so I guess I'm an artist now. So what are we up to? 5, 6? And then, and where's number 7? So yeah, becoming an artist. I guess if you sell a painting, you're an artist. And then doing workshops in the garden. I'm not an art teacher, but I like inviting people into the space and just giving them permission to play, really. I'll never forget the first time, the first class I went to, I had this big piece of watercolour paper, wet the paper. What's your favourite colour? Hot pink. Drop that hot pink ink onto wet paper. A whole new world opened up. So that's what I like to show people when I do the watercolour class. Just trust the process, have fun, play, enjoy a beautiful day. And then I became a garden consultant. 7, 8, 9. Then started doing fabric with Gina. Gina is the lady who takes my random sketches and a bud and a leaf and a flower. If you look at the Cafe au Lait dahlia fabric in the window downstairs, Gina's the girl who took all my random paintings into a PDF digital file and sent them off to Brisbane. They're printed in Brisbane. So thank you for being part of the journey. Garden consultant. We had our daughter's wedding in the garden. Maybe I can open the garden. And then writing. I can't not write. Back to 11, and then maybe now I might be an author. And that all goes back to starting as a journalist. So what are the steps to blooming? Great big crazy ideas or even tiny dreams start as a seed. Seeds hold so much potential and so much promise. Most little seeds are tough, but they are also vulnerable. Your beautiful ideas need protecting. They're fragile as they sprout, and they need shielding in those early stages. Tender little idea seedlings need consistent care and attention to take root. Weeds like distraction, procrastination, and neglect can stunt their growth. We can be our own worst enemy with insecurity, doubt, and fear. The biggest trouble I have with my projects is how. My inability inhibits my confidence. I can be paralyzed trying to figure out how to pull something off. Sometimes I say yes, then freak out before I figure it out, usually with a little help from my friends. Can you come and bring your brain? I need to stretch into a greater capacity by practicing and giving myself permission to just show up and do the work. Not all seeds will germinate. You only need one to blossom and bear fruit. The success of that single seed multiplies. One success leads to another, and an action step in the right direction creates traction, progress, momentum. Keep going. A creative journey is not a straight path. It's a meandering one with stepping stones. Sometimes there's quite a gap, a space, a pause. That space could be right before you need to leap forward with all your strength up to the next level. Sometimes it can be the wrong season for a seed to sprout. Hopes and dreams can lie dormant, tucked away in your heart until the right season and the right conditions. Sometimes it might take a bushfire to help a seed to germinate. Trust the timing. Don't compromise what your focus needs to be right now. There's no hurry. You may wonder if it's too late to pursue your dreams. I'm just 60. Many women my age are thinking of slowing down to retire, but I'm just getting started. And it has been very stop-start as I've begun to focus more on my own endeavours since graduating as a homeschooling mum in 2018. Andrew and I had 8 children, and I chose mothering and home educating as my career for 26 years. I began watercolour as my RDO. I resigned when our youngest went into year 9. Once I caught my breath, I began to think what I wanted to do when I grew up. I had time to practice watercolour, grow and play with flowers, and sell my first paintings. Just as I was getting excited about some progress, our 25-year-old son Peter died. That shook my whole world. Grief is tough to navigate. I found it very challenging to consider how to move forward with my own ideas. A creative business requires a lot of energy and brain space to thrive. My focus blurred and my whole personality changed because I became more introverted as my confidence was buffeted. Self-doubt and second-guessing can really paralyse your momentum. I had enrolled in TAFE to study horticulture, and 2 weeks after Peter died, I had to choose to show up to start that course. I guess it gave me a reason to get out the door. Finishing that course opened the amazing opportunity for me to take on a new role as garden consultant at beautiful Gabon Homestead, the wedding venue. It's 150 years old. I always wanted to work in a National Trust garden in England, so it's not too bad. I got to go to work planting pretty flowers and bringing beauty into that historical venue. It was a relief to turn up to work and have someone else to tell me what to do. Something that helped me during that hour-long drive each way was to listen to some personal development input from motivational speaker Brendon Burchard. Has anybody heard of Brendon Burchard? Look him up. He is a very motivational speaker, but he's also very real. One of his one-liners that has really impacted me is "Honour the struggle." His positive input lifted my confidence and gave me practical steps to make progress. Those 4 years at Gabon equipped me with confidence as I found my feet and began to explore art and flowers without the pressure of it all being business-orientated. Healing is not something you can hurry. You're not ready until you are. Healing is a slow and gentle process. Grief is not something you get over, especially as a mother. It's a pause. There's no hurry, but there does come a time when you need to get a wriggle on. I didn't want to stay where I was. I wanted to move forward with my big ideas. So I kept practicing, saying yes and growing. Then I began to see the dots connect. Garden, flowers, art, workshops, fabric design and writing. They seem random, but they all link together in a beautiful big picture. I love how things dovetail. The past 5 years have been pretty challenging as I've transitioned from homeschooling to where I find myself now. It almost takes me by. I mean, I am totally surprised to be standing here. But my word for this year was fruition. This year has been amazing. And I don't say this to boast, but just to encourage you and maybe give you hope that just be patient with yourself and be gentle with yourself. I was invited to New Zealand to teach watercolour classes in January. This is just this year. Our husband and I celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary by going to Tasmania. We opened our garden, which I've thought about doing since I don't know when. People would say, when are you going to open your garden? And I said, maybe when my youngest is 10, and now he's 20. So it does take time. And we welcomed more than 1,000 people on the Mother's Day weekend. There was wonderful response to the fabric. A week after that, I went to Sydney to talk to my editor coach about the book idea. Then I went overseas on an art adventure. And I've had more invitations to speak, display, and sell my art, like for the Bush Christmas this year. So my purpose this morning is to encourage you to enjoy your journey. Explore your own style and look for what's missing. There's a gap just for you. See the need and find the niche. I wanted to write the book I'm working on because I want to share the story about the process of creating a garden, not just the finished product. I wanted to grow flowers with soul and fragrance because I couldn't find them. What's your niche? There's room for all of us to do our thing and be original, but it can be confusing to try and figure that out. I don't know about you, but I seem to need a lot of affirmation and positive feedback. Is that a creatives thing? I read something very convicting this week. Samantha Wills shared a quote on Instagram about a guy called Dimagi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Don't underestimate the number of people silently inspired by your work while you're busy questioning if it's good enough. Your next level requires you to see yourself the way others already see you. Stop waiting for external validation and give yourself permission to own your talent. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original you. We do need others to believe in us. So many lovely patient friends have cheered me on as I've taken each tentative step forward in the direction of my dreams. It really is amazing to see how everything is blossoming. After years of plugging along, it's beginning to bloom. It's like plod, 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 and then boom. This morning is an opportunity to cheer each other on and water the seeds. How can you water the seeds for somebody else's ideas? How can you be the friend someone needs to bloom?